follow the standard rigmarole with the instructions going from the legs up, or yeah, legs and then the head or whatever. I'm going to focus on the parts that I think are going to give me a bit of a headache. Let's just remove all this first. Get it out of the way. I think the part that I think that's going to bother me is going to be the arms and the shoulders. Let me look at the shoulders, see how bad it is. In one part it has 4 connections, while this one has 3. Yeah, that is going to be a nice and ugly cleanup. Not to mention the fact that we have a connection here. So I'm looking at the instructions. Where's that shoulder plate? Okay, so we have a poly cap. That's actually good, because I was under this distinct impression that with the shoulder part, it was going to go around the inside of the shoulder. The armored part, the armored shoulder part was going to go around the shoulder, kind of similar to what I remember with the original Zaku. But this one you have a poly cap here. What I'm not liking is this little space here. There's like barely nothing there, and it looks ugly, fugly. There's not even a part here to put on. We'll figure that out in a minute. Let's get the other plate out. No, it's not this. It's nice and stuck into it. Oh, okay. So at least they're considerate. Good, actually, that's not a big problem as well. I think the big one is basically the seam line. Is there anything else here that needs? Well, there's a part that goes in there, and it's covered up by that, and then we have that part there. Okay, go like that. Whoops, too close. There we go. So, okay, this one, same business, except now you're going to put a poly cap there. I just need to squeeze all that in and then cover it. Super glue this, or sorry, not super glue, but regular glue. I may end up using something like this. To me, is thick cement, which I can then allow it to. You know, I'm gonna do. Let me get the poly caps for that. That is number. That's letter G. And then the other one is E. We're going to do reverse like that. I'm going to just shave off a little bit, because then eventually when this thing dries, I'm going to sand it down. There's a little scar there, but that's no big deal. Alright, we're going to pop it out again. I'm going to put it on the holes here. and then apply a light pressure. I also have this, which I'm going to pour a little bit on that and just spread it out. Let the whole thing melt a bit. No, wait, not to mention this spot, this scarring here, which we'll just melt it up a bit. There we go. And then that way I will get to it later on. Let's do this one. Get this out of the way. This was letter E. Is that correct? Here we go. That's good. I think the big problem here is not the sanding. There is detail on this part, like the seam line right there. Which of course you will have to get the scribing tool and scribe it out. And that way it will allow us to detail it up. I'm going to do the same thing here with this on this side. It was a little too much, but that's okay. Also spread it out. Now the smart move would be to cut this whole thing off and then maybe glue it on these two together and then put it on top. The expert move would be to remove the whole thing, both of these, and get metallic photo etch metal parts that simulate the actual the spikes itself and have it replaced. Now these days you can probably 3D print it now, if I had a 3D printer. There's that little hole there, which I'm gonna put a little bit of this in here. Alright, so that's good. Let's see what other parts I need to work on and fix. Okay, focusing on the leg parts now. So I'm going to get some of this stuff done here. These parts are very easy to work with because, as I was looking at the manual, I was seeing how well it could be part separated in a way for you to paint it. I am coming across a few parts that clearly I'm going to have to paint, put them together, and then mask them off and paint. But for now, this one is very simple to do. And by the way, I almost put that part here, not realizing that there's another hole there, so you got to be very careful with that. This one I gotta clean up after it after it dries. Same thing with this one here. On this one, just two little holes there. I think it's this one. Nope, the other one is this one. Yikes. Yeah, you could also be very careful with your fingerprints, because then you have to sand it off. Obviously, the kit like this is not meant for gluing, but there are certain areas that you definitely need to glue. Now going to some of the parts I was mentioning, the foot. You have these parts here that go like this, but there's this part that, if I'm looking at it correctly, I believe it's that way. Hold on, I gotta see this proper. So in this position, and then that's there. Okay, this one definitely needs to be glued and sanded because there's a seam line that goes right in the middle. There's no detail. So there's that seam line that goes right through there. You have this one here. At the time when, of course, when this mold was being done, nobody thought about that. But now, after 25 years, you realize, oh crap! Now I gotta work with this. I don't think this one's going to be exposed that much, but hold on, let me grab it. But according to the manual, this part goes. Actually, let me get the part, because I think I can actually work with this now without actually gluing it onto the part. Here we go. So we have this part here that it only, you put these two on together and it's solid, so you don't have to, it can be painted separately, but this will go right on top of it, as you can see, and then this one supposedly flips up to this part there. Or is it the other way? Like that, and then this can turn like that. That's actually a really cool gimmick, though. As a matter of fact, let me glue this on. I left a little bit of nudge there so that way I can cut it off, and then sand it down to smooth it out. Since we're seeing a lot of updated kits being made again, or not made again, like obviously the I can't even pronounce that green mobile suit that came out, there was only a higher grade kit, and the Gallius is coming out as a high grade kit. It would be nice to see a revived version of this, or any of the Zeta kits, double Zeta kits that Bandai released, years ago, and modified. This one, as you can see, is detailed, but it should have more detail than this. Well, let me continue on reviewing this, putting this together, and we'll see what else I could find.